Green Arrow, issue 21. So we've been doing this Clearwater stuff. The last issue ended with...
Freshwater.
Sorry, I think I've made that mistake before. Freshwater. And this issue, or the last issue, ended with one of the killers showing up in Oliver's apartment to get him. This issue obviously picks up on that, but not right away. We get a flashback, because all the issues have pretty much started with a flashback, sort of fleshing out the backstory of what happened in that town. And it's this town hall meeting of all the residents yelling at their politician or senator or whoever to do something about this. And basically we get various parents speaking up, and ultimately it builds up to the main mum, because we've been following that one main kid who collapsed in his house. And this mum stands up and says, hey, for the first time in my entire family, I was able to own property. I was able to get this affordable house in this town away from the city. It felt like a dream come true. And then it turns out you're literally poisoning my child. And like all these different kids are all developing different issues because of what's happening with this company and these chemicals that are underneath the houses. Like, we're begging for help. Please help us. And it's this really impassioned speech. And then she gets angry at the end when she says she was shaking when she found her son, and it's a whole thing, and it's kind of a cold open that leads into the. I do love how they treat the credit page in this as like almost like a TV show intro where it comes up saying DC Comics presents. It's like a bit of a needle drop almost. But that's when we go back to Oliver in his apartment. The killer behind him, he flips him over, and Oliver, of course. This killer was not expecting that Oliver Queen is actually a superhero and can take care of himself.
No. I think he's just another businessman that they're putting on ice, right? Like they've gone after the others. Well, mind you, as he's just made chili, because that was what he was doing, talking to Dinah. So, yeah.
He goes through a table, does our killer. And as expected, these killers are all different people who have been affected by this town. We kind of predicted that already from last issue. But this killer does not do that great a job. Ultimately, Oliver wins. There's a good fight scene here. Don't get me wrong. They're struggling around the apartment. Oliver's blocking attacks, that kind of thing. I particularly like when Oliver gets knocked down and he throws a laptop up at him. We get these like panels that are getting bigger, going across the page as Oliver dives and tackles him. I thought that was a really nice idea, because it's basically one image spread across
through the window.
Well, that we get that in the next page, but like I like the idea that this one image is sort of spread across this sort of stair-stepping panels to make it feel like it's getting bigger as it goes along. And then, like you say, the next page reveals that he's basically pushing him out of a window, but he grabs him, of course, and pulls him back in. And
saves him.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, this guy, he's like, hey, I'm here because you are from Horton Chemicals. And he's like, wait, I don't have that much to do with that. I mean, we know Oliver was there for a brief period, but the guy like pulls out like a contract that was signed by Oliver Queen, saying that they could do, whatever it was on the page. Was it a Horton Chemical authorization to sell proposed freshwater community, and the signature at the bottom is from President Oliver Queen. So as far as this group of people are concerned, Oliver Queen is one of the culpable people as to what was going on here. So I do love the idea that obviously Oliver's going to defend himself, but when it gets down to like, hey, look at this contract, oh shit, I actually like have some blame here. Like, obviously I didn't know what I was signing when I signed it, really. I assume like he probably didn't realize that he was sacrificing a bunch of innocent families to toxins or whatever. But this guilt is interesting for me because Oliver is someone who always feels guilty.
Right, and he's not on the board with those people up in the flashback in the beginning that have been name dropped so far, right? The senator, all this other stuff. So the fact that his name had somehow had gotten across him to sign, but he has no recollection whatsoever, tells me there's something afoot. And then that guy, once he's unmasked, he's in the crowd in those flashbacks, So Tina, he's the one yelling that my son was born with a deformed ear.
Yeah. And for the record, I don't think there is anything afoot. I think Oliver just signed this without knowing full well what he was signing. I think that part of it is just probably real, and this is just something he's going to have to reckon with that he had any part in. But anyway, cut to Detective Lady, who's researching freshwater and looking into things. Her partner comes in and makes some jokes about well, one, the killer's maybe striking again, but they also that like, oh, you're going to go and speak to your superhero boyfriend kind of thing, and gives her some crap for it and all that. But she wants to go to Freshwater and check it out from the sounds of it, and so, and even though she won't get back until morning because it's enough of a drive away that it's not exactly that close, but yeah, she wants to go and have a look around, so she's going to go and investigate that. Whilst Oliver continues speaking to the guy that tried to kill him and kind of get into the the nitty gritty of it. But Oliver does, once he's calmed down, he's like, hey, I this might not mean much, but like I do want to say I'm sorry for everything you've went through. And he's like, yeah, you are right. It doesn't mean much, But yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing. So the issue ends with Detective Lady driving to Freshwater, and we see that we see some panels of Freshwater, and there's just a bunch of these people in these like gas masks, like the killer outfits, like standing around the sign that says "Welcome to Freshwater."
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is all
the red coats, the red eyes. It's very creepy.
Very creepy, and then all this is playing out as the narrations, like it's this guy talking to Oliver, about why we wear a mask. Like if you do something, if some regular person stands up to a bad guy, it might be in the news for a day or two. People will say, "Hey, that's a good job," but they won't remember it. But you start wearing a mask, and superheroes know this all too well. Is that all of a sudden you're someone that gets remembered. You're now a figure. You're someone that sticks around. So it's this idea that all these victims who are like maybe sick now because they've all been living in Freshwater have all banded together to create like the mystique of one killer that maybe will be remembered and have an impact and like cause some change. So yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's that page before that when they're talking that Montos has a all-time layout, right, where they're having a discussion, but there's this silhouette of the gas mask there with the red eyes, the cracks in them, and how they're also showing the reflection of the guy that he's talking.
Yeah, it's sitting on the ground.
How they wear the mask.
Yeah, next to him. Yeah, so the idea is that this is the one sitting there, and it's sort of behind the panels, in the gutters. So it's a really unique layout. Yeah, it's not too complex, but it's like weird enough really, really that it sticks out. For sure.
Yeah. No. Really like that.
Yeah, it's really good. Now, I like, this issue, like, you've got that great opening scene that shows, like, the development of the backstory, which, I've been really enjoying all those scenes at the start of each issue. The fight scene is good. It's really hard-hitting. Montos draws a blinder of a fight sequence. It's got good pacing. A lot of it's very silent, like a lot of these fight scenes have been in this book, and it feels very detailed, something like all the shards of glass when he gets thrown through the window. But then, of course, this idea that, like, Oliver realizing that he is, that look in his face, like the shock of the fact that he signed this, it hits hard that moment. And then that changes his demeanor, where for the rest of it, he's like, I can't just treat this guy like he's a villain, right? As much as he's trying to do something wrong, he's got some reason to hate me, and I have to kind of, reckon with that. And I feel that in the art and his demeanor in the art between those, that first big scene with the two of them, and then the follow-up after the detective scene. But yeah, no, real good. So yeah, I do wonder if Detective Lady's going to be in trouble because she's going to Freshwater where all these other killers are, even though she's not responsible. So far all their targets have been people who are directly either responsible for the pollution itself, or the covering it up, or the denying them help, someone in that chain. But regardless, I feel like because she's poking her nose around, maybe she'll get into some trouble.
Yeah, they don't want that because they've said it doesn't end with Oliver Queen, right? This doesn't end until they get everything, too. So they are highly motivated.
How high up the food chain?
I did like that reveal that it's not just that it's not just the one, but it's everybody. It's the community that has come together to put a mask on this, so they can try to get, what they think is vengeance or justice or whatever it is, because no one was there for them. I did like that as they're having the conversation, Oliver's like, yeah, but we tried to speak up for you. He's like, yeah, but it didn't do any good. Like you and your newspaper, did absolutely nothing for us. This, though, this is power. You know, the mask and scaring the billionaires, basically. That's what's going to get stuff done.
There was a line in the community town hall meeting scene at the start where the mum yells, "Oh, you're just going to get bailed out and nothing's going to happen." And that line particularly hit a nerve because right now, like, there's a lot of talk of this AI, all the spending and how much of a vacuum that's like sucking up everything and how the economy's kind of teetering on it. And the fact that prices are going up in a lot of electronics because of AI use and blah, 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 blah. And there's a genuine like expectation that at some point the bubble's going to burst because no one likes using it. Everyone hates it. The companies are trying to force it down everyone's throat. And yada. The point I'm getting at though is that when it does burst and people like some of these companies have invested billions of dollars into AI.
Yeah.
And the thought that the government might bail these companies out when it all goes tits up is like infuriating. And I'm like, no, they should fail. Like Microsoft should absolutely suffer when this all comes to shit. Like they should.
Right. But the ones that end up having to pay the price are the ones that are the most vulnerable. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the rich get bailed out. They get their golden parachutes. And that's what they were sold, right? Everybody moved to freshwater because it was a place to raise your kids. It was this hope. It was this American dream, if you will, of a better. And then when it made them all sick, they're like, oh, well, that was your fault for moving there. Yeah. And no one's there to help them, right? But when the community tanked, all those people got their buyouts. You know, they were all fine. It didn't affect them. So, you know,
yeah, I guess the point I was getting at is that it was very relatable and it was very relevant to, you know, the world. So, you know, obviously it's a little bit of a different topic, but it just that line kind of triggered me a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, you bastards getting bailed out. Lots of swearing in my head.
Yeah, and I think this is why this book, when CONDON took it over, has gotten such notoriety, right? Because it kind of, to me, that's the type of story that Green Arrow is, you know, meant to take on, right? Because he is the corporate dude, right? Just like Bruce Wayne, except he actually, you know, through the 70s, the whole Hard Traveling Heroes aspect, he was this social voice, you know? So to have Oliver Queen here taking this on now in the 2020s, you know, I think that's why so many people have spoken so highly of this arc and why we're reading it, right? Because, you know, but yeah, it perfectly makes sense for a Green Arrow story.
Yeah. All right, what are you giving Green Arrow issue 21?
I'm going to say 0.5.
I mean, I'm tempted to go to the 9, but I'm going to say 8.5 as well. And I think it's just because from a pacing perspective, you know, it's effectively a couple of conversations, and they're very good conversations, and the art's gorgeous. But it did go in very quick, so that's the only reason why I'm not giving it a 9. But excellent stuff.